been called the weirdest, wildest, wackiest, and even the worst wrestling movie ever made.
There's a sentence.
America's most badass tournament. Holy shit, I'm getting a little happy silly down there.
Are you not entertained, motherfuckers?
Welcome to the Kill City Cup.
I'm Brian Cage, and I was Cyborg that was created by the guy running the Kill City Cup tournament to win the whole thing, which I almost did. Luke, the creator of it.
He was up in a position, where he was working, and he couldn't easily access any other area of the arena. And it's a long day, so, he's having a drink, maybe a second drink, maybe a third drink, who knows. But eventually, you gotta go to the restroom. It ain't happening where he was.
So instead of running downstairs and using the restroom, he decided he would use the Gatorade bottle.
Problem was, when it came time for the refills, they didn't take the empties away, so as you're working, drink, empty, empty, you might get confused. He did get confused.
He forgot that there wasn't Gatorade in there anymore.
He ended up drinking his own pee. It's probably the most Kill City Cup that happened.
Twisted tea. Tastes like urine.
Then it tries to make me feel okay about drinking my own pee, because I've done it.
I remember back 10 to 11 years ago, Luke had reached out, he was looking for a logo, and this was for a project he was working on called Galaxy Cup.
I was on the ground level of this thing about a decade ago.
As this futuristic, apocalyptic style, almost 90s nostalgic wrestling tournament, combination of Mad Max and 90s video games. There he had like an Illuminati style thing.
I'm a big fan of all those different tournament style movies. I'm a big fan of all those type of games that it's styled based off of, and I feel like wrestling fits right in there.
A lot of people who love wrestling, they love fighting video games. I used to play Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Street Fighter. Add a little blood here and there. You can add special effects.
So we started talking about exactly what his vision was. The basic aesthetic being something like a 90s fighting game. As a fan of Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Primal Rage, Street Fighter, all those myself, I was right on board with all of that. I also asked him what style he wanted. He wanted some 90s comic book looking stuff. Right up my alley, so I was more than happy to do that.
So a lot of shock value there. So obviously we got the blood, we got the cursing, people die.
The more cheese, the better is what we were going with. There was a lot of it. It was like, that is, it's corny, it's over the top, and they go, let's dig deeper. So there was no limits to how corny we were willing to get.
Okay, Luke.
The first, test run, I don't know what you'd call it, I was booked, I was available. I know Luke, the creator of it, kept on hitting me up, trying to get me to get on board, and I was like, man, I'm not able to. And then I saw some of the footage from what they did the first time, and it looked pretty rad, it looked pretty cool. And then he was like, hey, these dates, we're gonna do it all and complete the project. And I was like, well, I have those dates available, so we can make it happen. And boom, swadoosh, there it was.
I received a text and it sounded fascinating.
Just to be honest, actually, I didn't know April Hunter was going to be on it, and I was a huge April Hunter mark when I was a kid. And by mark, I just meant I had a ginormous crush on her. I thought she was ridiculous. I remember I had these Wild World of Wrestling magazines with some of her photos in them. Oh my goodness.
When I was first presented with the Kill City Cup idea, I love it. The canvas that we paint in professional wrestling can seem so small. So when someone has an idea that goes, hey, I want to combine pro wrestling with post-apocalyptic Mortal Kombat, it's like, yeah, get me in that.
I was very comfortable in that unorthodox setting. In fact, I loved the setting, the stage, and watching all of the set work go up. And I thought that was one of the coolest aspects of the Kill City Cup.
If you could swap roles with any other cast member, who would it be and why?
If I could have swapped roles with anybody else in Kill City Cup, it would have been Mr. Kill.
Mr. Kill, because he's running everything.
He's the puppet master. He's the Wizard of Oz that's pulling the strings.
I would have loved to have been that guy.
Mr. Kill delivering his line.
I don't think I've ever seen a script
making it really feel like a like a desolate world that only he had control of.
He never gave me a script.
One of my favorite wrestlers on the entire set was Zip Monk. Zip, 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 zip. Those motherfuckers are gonna bleed out before they know what happens.
Without even thinking about it, it would be Leon of the Wasteland. He is the Dr. Frankenstein of this film. There's Dr. Mercury. He strikes me more of like a Baxter Stockman type character from Ninja Turtle.
I mean, definitely have to be, Brian Cage's character. One, he's super jacked and ripped and just very strong, a very talented performer.
I loved the Russian Crush, especially talking to her. It was amazing. She's so badass, beautiful. If I could trade roles with somebody, it would be her.
And I thought Markova was phenomenal in all aspects. And
Natalia texted me on Tuesday. We shot on a Saturday. She goes, hey, I just want to let you know I had some surgery on my jaw. She had just had a procedure. I don't know what it was, but it was like on her jaw. And she's like, I'm good to work, but I just want to make sure you're aware of it.
I'd probably switch roles with anybody who lasted longer than the first round.
I love the fact that you had guys in hazmat suits opening the doors for the wrestlers was brilliant.
I'll tell you the role I wouldn't take. The man who opens that door, because they had to sit in those hazmat suits for hours and hours.
Queen Gia, because she's the queen?
My favorite character will always be your ringmaster. Not just because he's a friend and not just because he got me the job, but Rye really knew how to embody and embrace the circus-style ringmaster. And I felt very connected to creating this story as we were coming up with little limericks on how to introduce each one of the characters. Rye knew how to do that role well.
It means jump, which is where I need to be.
My name is Holly Carpenter, and I am the lighting designer for Kill City Wrestling. I'll tell you, my first impression was a little bit shock and awe. Walking into what looks like an abandoned escape room that I'm sure hadn't been touched since pre-COVID, to meet up with a guy with a Twisted Tea in hand.
She made the lighting very unique. It helped set apart.
And this is one I also posted to social media, just a little clip of it, because of how it's so subtle and so short, but it really just stands out in my mind. The Machine does something. I don't even remember what he did to get in this position, but she's in the middle of the ring. The spotlight is on the ring. It's illuminated, and it's just such a spooky shot. It just looks like a straight-up horror film for that second. You see the Machine just cross over, just walk right across the frame.
The motherfucking Machine!
Funniest or most memorable behind-the-scenes moment you experienced during production? Probably Maxwell Chicago getting really pissed that he was going to get blood on his last tuxedo.
A little person headbutting me in the nuts.
Then he hits dude in the nuts, and his face like, ah! He hits dude in the...
Okay. I was the only makeup artist on set. At the earlier stages, it was actually pretty simple because we didn't have a lot of people. But then kind of like towards the ending, that's when everybody had to start coming in, be fully done up in makeup. I remember that I touched up the Russian Crush as well. I touched her up a little bit. I remember I did a cyborg piece on this really big dude as well.
There's a problem today with wrestling is they just don't have the characters that they had back in the day, you know? Click on a wrestling show. These days, everybody looks too regular, you know?
Everybody was a character. Everybody had that, what we were just talking about, there's just something extra.
One of the neat things we did was we had this VHS tape that went out to the cast.
Chaos at the cinema. I just think it's something really unique.
Kill City Cup stretches the boundaries of professional wrestling into the realm of curiosity for the non-wrestling fan.